one of our main stories on this news hour and the situation in Ethiopia, where the government has declared a state of emergency after weeks of anti-government protests. Rights groups say more than 500 people have died in Ethiopia in the last year following protests by the Oromia people against the Ethiopian government. Let's now bring in our next guest on this news hour, Mohammed Ademo, who's the editor of the All Pride website, a news website that focuses on Ethiopia. He joins us live from Washington, D.C. Good to have you, Mohammed. Just remind us first of what's behind this wave of protests that we've seen in the last year in Ethiopia. What's triggered the unrest?
The unrest was initially triggered by the central government's decision to expand the capital of Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, into the Oromia region. And when people protested or opposed the expansion, the government responded by arresting Oromo leaders, Oromo activists, and then also cracking down heavily on protesters and killing protesters, as
right.
You've mentioned.
But that plan was dropped, though, by the government. That plan to expand
yes,
the capital was dropped by the government, and yet the protests continued.
Yes, I think the crackdown, the repressive measures that the security forces took actually angered people, in the grievances and the demands of the protesters sort of shifted to historic marginalization of the Oromo people, and Oromo being the majority in that country, not having enough power, enough say in the economy, in the politics of that country. And as you know, the government is dominated by ethnic group, a few elite from minority ethnic Tigrayan group, and all of this led to more resentment and brought forth demands for democracy, demands for rule of law. In the government response so far have been only one way, which is raining bullets on protesters, which are mostly peaceful. And as you've seen in the past couple of days, the protests have now shifted, and the people are tired of peacefully demanding for respect of their rights.
Sorry to interrupt you. You say the protests have been mostly peaceful, which is true. But in the last few days, we've seen protesters attacking foreign companies. I mean, what's the point of that? What are they going to achieve by attacking foreign companies?
Yes, Ethiopia is held up as the rising star in the continent of Africa. And some of the legitimacy for its economic record comes from attracting foreign investment, giving land to foreigners, massive amounts of land to foreigners by displacing locals. And the GDP numbers don't necessarily reflect the reality on the ground, and the poor people, the average Ethiopians, are not benefiting from the development. So people are now saying that this is only here to legitimize the government rule, and it's about time that people start hitting the government where it hurts, and also putting foreign investors on notice, because Ethiopia is not an ideal climate for investment, and Ethiopia's development state has backfired, and you cannot keep people repressed and deny their rights and shut down the media, shut down the opposition, and continue to project an image of a country that is growing, and the growth is only benefiting people who are on power.
But the risk is, of course, Mohammed, as you know, is that we're going to see more deaths. I mean, more than 500 people, according to various rights groups, have been killed in Ethiopia in the last year. A state of emergency is now in place for up to 6 months. Are the protests going to continue?
Folly. Look, more than 500 people have been killed in the last 4 days. And what we are looking at in Ethiopia is a war. We don't know exactly what is on the ground, or the media is not seeing the reports that we are getting from people on the ground, because the internet has been shut down. Yes, we are going to see more killing. We are going to, unfortunately, see more bloodshed. And if you just look at the reason for declaring the state of emergency, this gives police and the security forces the right to kill and detain anyone they so choose, which they've been doing so far already, but this just allows them to do more of that, and we are going to see more arrests. We are going to see more killings. The protesters are not backing down, and people are tired of getting killed, and they want the regime to end, and the government, obviously, as you've seen, is not heeding the protesters' grievances, and they are continuing to just crack down more heavily and bring more security forces to the street. And if someone kills your brother, someone kills your cousin, and you see them walking around with AK-47, that engenders more anger. It doesn't calm the situation. So I think, unfortunately, Ethiopia is headed in a very wrong direction, and this is going to have a ripple effect across the region, and is very, very deeply concerning at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, Mohamed Ademo of the news website All Pride, joining us there live from Washington.